Okay, welcome. This is the first video in Fusion 360. So we're going to start the video on just a brief overview. And basically when you load up Fusion, this is a screen that you're going to be met with. So things to note here are you've got different tabs that we can add, that we can enter here. So we're in the design tab at the moment. The tabs that we're going to be using primarily are the design tabs and the manufacturing tabs. So the design tab is the tab that we'll do all our sketching and modeling in, and manufacturing tab is where we'll carry out our CAM operations in. So for this video we're just going to go through some of the basic functions in the design tab, or the design environment. So as you can see, what you can see on top here is we're in the solid tab, and basically you can see in the first section here we've got all create features. So we can create a sketch, an extrude, a revolute, we can create holes, and if we move along we've got our modify section and inspect section. They're the ones we're going to be using. Also we're going to be using our Sheetmetal tab. So in the Sheetmetal tab we've got some more functionality in relation to Sheetmetal here. So basically if we're in solid or Sheetmetal tabs we can create a sketch, which is the first thing we want to do. So we'll create a sketch, and it's asking what plane we want to create the sketch on. So for plasma cutting, or for cutting on an XY table, we want to be most of the time trying to start on the XY plane. You can note the XY plane by this box up here on top, so you can see the Z, X and Y. So selecting this plane, you can see now that we're looking down on the X and Y, and note we're looking at it from the top. So X and Y are here. So we're after selecting the plane. Now it's actually asking us to sketch. So what we can do when we're in at this point is we can actually sketch whatever shapes we want. So for just a brief overview, we can sketch lines, circles, spline lines. We can do a mirror of a sketch. We can then add dimensions and alter dimensions of predefined sketches, a point, rectangles, and then if you don't see here what you want to draw, we can just hover over the create, left click, and we've got a whole host of other sketching tools along here. So for example, there's more variation to the rectangular sketching types. We've got circular, for example, you can do as many different types of polygons as you want, hexagons, etc. You can see, so you can have a look at this yourself and kind of get used to what's available. For example, the text is also available here, so definitely worth having a look at this and sketching through different things and doing some testing yourself. But for this video we're just going to keep it simple. So if I want to sketch, for example, a center rectangle, let's say we want to sketch something 200mm wide, 100mm high, what we can do is, you can see that the blue, it's actually 148 there. The blue X value on the dimension is 148 at the moment. That's going to, whatever dimension is highlighted in blue is what we can add. So for example, let's say we wanted 200 on that, we can just click 200 into our keyboard, hit the tab button on the keyboard, and it'll select the other dimension. We then select 100 and I press enter on the keyboard. Now you can see we've got a fully defined sketch, which is great. For example, if we didn't do it that way, I'm just going to undo this, and let's just say we added the rectangle like this and the dimensions aren't defined. You can see that it's blue before it was black. So if we wanted to fully define this sketch or make an edit, we can simply add our sketch dimension tool, select the line that we want to dimension. I'm going to do 200 here. We can then grab the width here and go 100, and you can see it's gone black, it's fully defined. So what I'm going to do then is also show that we can do, for example, I'm going to create, and actually we can just use a normal circle here. So let's just say we want a 55mm hole in the center, finish sketch. So now our sketch is finished. What we can then do is basically to create a sheet metal part, we have to have a sketch. Then what we do is we come up here and click Flange, and then we click the surface that we want to create a sheet metal body to. So for example, I select this surface, you can see it's after selecting where we want. Watch on this now, we've got a sheet metal rule, so this is where you put in your sheet metal thickness, and it will also update the characteristics of the bends and stuff relative to that thickness. So for example, if we want to do a 3mm steel, click OK, and if we look at this part from the side, we can now see this is a 3mm part. If we wanted to double check that, we could grab the inspect tool, hit that face and hit a line down there. You can see it's 3mm, so I'm happy with that. Let's just say, for example, we wanted to change that 3mm down to 2mm. on our left here we've got a rule. So instead of going back and redoing what we did, the 3mm rule is set here. So we can change that by hitting this button here, switch the rule, and for example if I wanted to go to 2mm, hit OK, notice the material actually decreased down to the 2mm rule. So that's a need to know. Next then, if we wanted to add a flange onto this, so Sheetmetal flange, we can click the flange button up on top. Then we click, we actually have to click one of the edges that we want to flange from. Let's just say we want to go 40mm down. You can see it creates it like that. We can also select multiple edges at one time. So for example, we can cancel this. Let's just say we want to go this one and this one, and we want them both to go down 40mm. You can hit OK, and you can see we've created a part like that. This works then for flanges that have already been created. So for example, let's say we want to go here, and we want to go 25mm. You can see how that part works. Let's just say for example we've got that part made, but we want to okay, so I'm actually going to show you here. So let's say this is critical that this face and this face are, let's say they're 200mm now, but let's say we want them to be 10mm less, so 190mm. We can do that in a way here. So we basically come in and edit the profile sketch, and in this 200 we can put in minus 10mm. You can see it's after reducing the part in width, and now if I check it again, you see I've got my 190. So that's how we can edit things like that. Okay. You can also edit the actual height of a flange, or on either direction. So for example, let's say we want this flange here, if this is critical, so that this distance down to this distance is 40, but let's say we wanted it to be 50. What we can do is we can click on the flange that we want to change, right click, edit feature, and then you can see that where the 40 is here, we can change this to 50. And now if we check again, we've got 50mm instead of 40. Likewise, we can click here, edit feature, and let's just say we wanted to make this also 40. It's after increasing the flange here, yeah. Okay, other things to note the flange then is we can, if we go back in and edit this feature, I'm going to look in from the side just so you get a better idea as to what I'm changing here. But the actual bend position is another important thing to know. So I'm going to change it from inside to outside and watch what happens. So it's basically, it's changing the bend position, or the bend edge position. So this comes in handy when you're actually creating, for example, a box that has a lid. You can do the box with inside positions and the lid with outside positions, and then there's no need to go editing as much, because they'll just work together. So I'm going to hit OK on that. Now let's say for example we want to take away, let's just say for example we wanted to add a text element. Let's just say we wanted to put for example a C and an A over here. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we hit sketch, we select the face that we want to sketch on. We don't always have to select one of the three planes. We can select, for example, this surface, this surface. For now I'm going to select this surface here, and basically what you want to do is create a sketch and then add a text element. So I'm going to add a text element here, and I want it to be C. I'm going to change this up to, for example, 50mm. I'm going to center it, hit OK. I'm actually going to Control C and Control V, and that'll create a copy. Now what I want to do is actually center the part this way. This is just so it's symmetrical. Not fully necessary, but I like to do it here. So I also want to change this letter to an A. So how we do that is just come in and go A. Okay, and we can finish the sketch. Now next thing we want to do is extrude cut our letters. So we hit extrude, we hit our letters. We can then either pull our arrow like this, or you can do it over here and actually put in the distance. So minus 50 would be plenty, but for example you only need to go minus 2 on this part, I think it was. I'm going to put a -5 because I know it'll cut it down. Thing to note here is that if we were to leave this the way it is, you can see there's a floating part of the A. That's not going to work out in Sheetmetal, because once you cut this out, it's basically going to look like this shape without the actual middle section. So we have to create a link between the middle section and the outside of the part, so it holds its place. So to do that, what I'm going to do is actually come in and create another sketch, and I'm going to create another sketch on here, and basically come in and sketch a rectangle linking piece, and I'm then going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to create an extrude, click my surfaces, and then you can see it's actually in red now, which means it's going to cut. But what I want to do is add material, so I'm going to go over here to operation and press join, and I want it to go down 2 millimeters, which is the thickness of my material. For example, if you did not know the thickness of the material, there's another way of doing this. So extend type is set to distance. We can go to object, and then we can just simply select the face that we want it to go to. I hope that makes sense. So now you can see we're after creating a link. Okay. So the next step after this is created, let's say we're happy with this part. Actually, you know what, I'm not happy with the part. So I want to put the C and the A further down on the part so they're more symmetrical with the middle. So how I can do this is I can actually come in and click a part of the shape that I want to edit, right click and edit feature. Or alternatively you can see down here on the left we've got our different things that we've done in the past, so our timeline. So as I can hover over and actually select, you can see that this is the feature we want to edit. So if I click this feature, right click, edit feature, that's the same as doing that. So you can see editing the feature is going to actually edit the feature. What we want to do is edit the actual sketch of the feature. So for example, we want to leave this, and instead of editing this feature, we want to actually edit this sketch. So to do that, same, we just click it, right click, and then edit sketch, and you can see we're back into the edit sketch. So what I want to do is bring this, okay, so you can see it's tagged here to the side. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click this link, it's a constraint, and delete that. So now notice that the parts are flying all over the place. It's because it's constrained here. So I'm going to delete this constraint. But now the A is at an angle. So to straighten up the A, what we can do is we can add a constraint. So what I want to do here is add a constraint, and I want to add a constraint so that basically this line is perpendicular to this line. So you can see it's after straightening it up. And I'm going to do the same for this line and this line. So now the parts are straightened up. Now notice if I move this around, it's going to be much straighter. So after adjusting these, let's just say for example I'm happy with these. We could spend more time, but for the video we're just going to move on. So finish sketch, and it's after changing that. Now notice my island is after changing with the A, so it would have been better to have the sketch done properly first time, but this is a good example on how we can edit this feature as well. So I'm going to go back and look at the timeline. So this is my feature. I don't want to edit the feature, I actually want to edit the sketch. So I'm going to click the sketch, right click, edit sketch. I'm going to bring that back down here. Okay, now let's just say I'm happy with the part. One other thing that I want to do is I want to add a hole on either side, so, and then a fillet on both of these corners here. So firstly I'm going to create the hole. So I'm going to go back to solid, create hole, and let's just say we want a 6 millimeter hole. So we're going to put a 6 mil, actually we'll keep it 12.5, so we'll do a 12.5 mil hole. If we want to dimension that off of an edge here or an edge here, for example, we click the hole, click the edge, and then we can put in whatever we like. So I'm going to do 50 for this dimension, which will be the center, and then I'm going to do this 15. So you can see we're after creating our hole. If we want to edit that hole, you can see it's on our timeline, so we can click, right click, edit feature, and we can change our hole dimension. Let's just say we want the same hole on the other side. Instead of creating the same hole and putting it over here, basically the reason that we try not to do that is because if we make an edit to this hole in the future, this hole will need to be edited as well. So we can do a mirror feature instead. So what we want to do is create a mirror, make sure that our feature is selected here. We want to click our feature that we want to mirror, then we want to click mirror plane. I want to click this mirror plane and click OK, and notice now that the hole is over there. The reason for doing it in that way rather than just creating another hole from scratch is if we come in and, for example, edit this hole now on the left side. Okay, let's say we change that to a 6 mil hole. Okay, we hit OK. Notice now that the other side is also edited. You could see how this could be of value if you've got a part that has hundreds of holes or even 20 holes, just so you're not spending loads of time changing everything. So let's just say we also want to do a fillet, so we can fillet. We can select our edges that we want to fillet. And then we've got two ways of adjusting the fillet. So we can actually move the arrow in to see what looks right, or if we know the dimension, we can just select the dimension up here, and let's just say we want to do 25 mil. Hit the enter, and we're happy.